Stand up because I feel like I'm supposed to stand up. I feel you. You did good. You should always come in and stand up. Don't be ashamed. We got tall people, we got short people, we got in between people. Don't matter. Get on up and have you some church. Let's pray. Holy, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for these people. And I thank you that no matter the noise, no matter the distractions, you are there. And you're wanting to reach out and still everything, so that in a brief moment we can see clearly and know that we're in your presence. So no matter how crazy I may talk or behave, and no matter what else happens here today, let your presence be here, because that's all that matters. Let your spirit come. Let your will be done. As above, so below. Let all of us keep in our minds and in our hearts that we want you more than anything. We want you first, and we don't want it if you ain't in it. Be here now. In your many names I pray. Amen. Amen. So Marcy got me before church. Marcy said, what happened if we was going to pray with everybody and not pray in the room? Okay, we're going to circle back around to that, because some people don't even know the story because they weren't here last week. So we'll circle back around to that. Is change coming? Yes, it is. Is it happening today? No. I got to get my board ready. I got to get me ready, and I got to get y'all ready. But it is coming, and I hope you're okay. So you see, today is Tale of Two Cities, better known as Tale of Two Stories, because today the two scriptures are very similar. So the first scripture is Daniel 3:17. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the one we serve is able to save us from it and will rescue us from your hand, O King. The second one is Luke 17:5. The apostles said to Jesus, increase our faith. So it's two different stories from two different time periods, but they're both dealing with faith. Now in Daniel, what you have to know is that the three Hebrew children, as the story is usually taught in kids' church, are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These three had been taken into captivity when they were youths. So now they've been here in captivity for a while. And King Nebuchadnezzar decides he's going to build a great big statue of himself, because, you know, that's what really crazy leaders do. And he builds this huge thing, and he's like, okay, now the new rule is every time you hear the instruments play, stop what you're doing and drop to the ground and worship the statue. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three Hebrew children, who came up under the whole, you know, the 10 Commandments and the you shall not have this and you shall not do this, and knowing who God had called them to be, they're like, hold up, this feels wrong. This feels funny. I don't think I can do this. Matter of fact, I know I can't do this, and I ain't going to do it. So what happens? Normally, same thing happens now. When we refuse to do something because of something we hold to be a very strong belief, somebody going to go rat us out. And they go running, and they go, King, they ain't going to do it. They said they're not doing it. They're refusing to do it. Ain't nothing you can do about it. King says, yeah, it is. I'm going to throw them in the fiery furnace. So as a child hearing this story, I was always like, wait, you mean like for real you going to take people and put them... First time I heard it, I left children's church crying because I didn't know about all this burning people thing. It didn't sound right to me. Second time I heard it, I was like, that's a lie, you can't do that. Third time I heard it, you're missing the point, Christy, pay attention. And that one has kind of stayed the case through the rest of my life. You're missing the point, Christy, pay attention. So the king's mad, he says, I'm going to throw you in the fiery furnace. That's the penalty for breaking my law. And the three Hebrew children, that's what they say. Okay, if that's going to happen, God is going to do this. Now you get to the apostles years later, and Jesus had just told them, if your brother sins against you 7 times, but 7 times apologizes, then 7 times you need to forgive your brother. And their very first reaction is, increase our faith. What happened? What's the difference in the two stories? See, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had something that the apostles didn't have. The apostles had Jesus with them the entire time. So every time they're doing stuff, they're seeing stuff, who is it doing it? Jesus. And they're walking with Jesus, and Jesus is doing, and they're seeing all the great stuff Jesus is doing, and so Jesus is doing it. We just along for the ride. They're not really having to put anything into action. They're not really having to do anything. They're just following, which is sort of doing something. But I mean, when it came down to it, they weren't really tested much. Because when a test would come, they would holler, Jesus, and Jesus would be like, oh, okay, fine. And, Jesus would be Jesus. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, what they knew was all of the stories. They knew that what they were told is God does great things. And God shows up when we're in trouble. Every time we're in captivity, God shows up. So you can throw me in the fire if you want to. God's going to show up. The difference between them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego believed in actions that they had heard of. And they believed that something was required of them. So they were going to put into action what they had been taught. We believe God shows up. So we're telling you, we're going to do what's right no matter what you say. And God's going to show up.
That's right.
They did something. The apostles did something too, though. Because see, my whole life this was used to teach that the apostles ain't got no faith. Because if we go further, in the next verse, after they say increase our faith, is Jesus and the mustard seed. And every time I've heard that preached or taught in my church of origin, it was always about how your faith ain't big enough. Your faith ain't strong enough. That's what's wrong with you. But what Jesus is really saying in the verses following increase our faith. Even if you only have that little bit, this much. You can say to that tree, uproot yourself and be planted there, and that tree will do it. Now, everybody gets crazy because then they're like, that sounds like witchcraft. You're going to tell the tree to move and the tree going to just get up and walk. It sounds like some Lord of the Rings kind of stuff. Trees walking around and doing things. No, the moral was this. Action. See, faith has to grow. And the way our faith grows is by these things happening. We face situations where we have to choose what we're going to do. Are we going to believe? Are we going to act in our faith? Are we going to plant our faith? Or are we going to just be, Jesus, this you okay, you come do it. Now hold up. Ain't nothing wrong with calling on Jesus. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you want to grow, and you want to grow in your faith, you have to become a person who plants your faith. So you say, I might not know how this is going to work. I might not know how any of this is going to happen, but I'm going to believe that I'm going to plant right here, and my faith is going to grow because of this. And then the next time something happens, you recognize this might be one of them times where I'm supposed to be like growing my faith. So I'm not going to wait as long this time. I'm just going to plant that bad boy and say, okay, let's go. And then it's growing because you're acting, you're planting, you're believing. The other interesting thing with the 3 Hebrew children, I love the phrase, if the bad thing's going to happen, God will. If the bad thing's going to happen, God is able. They didn't even know for sure that King Nebi would do it. Because, he was a little bit wishy-washy. So they weren't really sure. They knew he respected Daniel, who was one of their people. So they're like, he might not do it. So, if this, God is able. Everything we go through, which way do we tend to go? Do we just sit down and yell Jesus, which is also appropriate, or do we think back and go, wait, if this is to happen, because of everything else I've seen, everything else I've heard, everything else I know God is able, and God will show up, and God will do. Or do we just sit down yelling Jesus? Because see, James 2:17 says it's okay to have your faith, but you're going to need to back your faith up with some action. And how many of y'all tired of hearing that scripture from James? Because we use it a lot. See, it requires work. Your faith doesn't just suddenly blossom. You've heard the saying, you are what you eat. And it applies to more than your diet. There was a saying my granddaddy said never made sense to me. If you lay down with the dogs, you're going to get fleas. As a child, I'm like, well, that's stupid. I ain't going to lay down with no dog. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Because all of his dogs were yard dogs. And you ain't going to go. No. Now I'm older. Much older. And lay with the dogs, you get fleas, means something different to me. It means now careful who you surround yourself with. Because when you surround yourself with people, and these are the people that you hang with all the time, if they ain't the right people, you're going to be seen as those people.
Yeah.
If they have a reputation, you hanging with them all the time, you kind of start getting the reputation.
Exactly.
Because you're with them.
Yeah.
And so people start thinking, well, you must support how they are. You must believe the same thing they believe. You all the time with them.
Yeah.
So it matters who we surround ourselves with. But it also matters what we allow into us. Which does come back to who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Because what do you let live in your heart? What do you let take root there? Is it your faith rooting and growing? Or is it everything else? All of the outside noise? Is it the how many people going to text me they ain't coming to church today? Or is it the it don't matter who come to church today, God going to be here and I'm going to be all right?
That's right.
Which way does it go? What are you letting live in here? Is it your fear of being seen as different? Is it your fear of being vulnerable? Is it your fear of, well, I'm not good enough? Is it your fear of, well, I'm not cute enough? What is it? Or is it, Holy loves me just like I am?
That's right.
And Holy calls me just as I am.
Amen.
And Holy said, if I just have enough faith, you know how big a mustard seed is?
Yeah.
I got one. That little speck. That's a mustard seed. See that? You see it? That's how big a mustard seed is. Is that really big? It's tiny, right? You want to see it? You can pass it, whatever. I hit you in the face with it. It's tiny. And the point was, you have that much. I know you do. So do something with it.
Yeah.
Do something. Tell that tree to go live in the water. Plant yourself. Surround yourself. Keep believing. No matter what life throws at you. Just that much. Just that much faith. And you should be able to grow. You should be able to blossom. You should be able to say, if the bad thing happens, God is able. If I lose everything, God is still God. Holy is still the way maker. Holy is still the promise keeper. Holy still shows up. Holy still says, okay, yes, so you messed up. Big deal. We just keep on rocking. You're going to be okay. You're going to grow. But how you don't grow is if you refuse to grow. Last week we talked about choices. And this too is a choice. You can choose to say, okay, I got enough faith that big. That teeny tiny amount right there. I don't know what you can do with that, God, but here it is. And then the next time something happens, okay, well, that kind of went halfway decently. So here's my little seed again, God. Here's my seed again, God. And every time you're building on the time before, every time you're taking action, you're remembering, you're recognizing that no matter what you face, God is able. And we get stuck like the disciples in, I just want you to do it for me. It's all they knew. We can't really blame them for it. It's what they knew. The crowd gets crazy. Jesus. The boat start rocking funny. Hey, Jesus, wake up. So you can't really blame them. I mean, they had him right there. So, why not use him? But if we stay in that place where we only say, okay, well, you can handle it, and we're never doing our part, how are we working? How is that us growing? How is that having actions to back up the words that we say? It's about coming to a place of peace. And it's peaceful because you reach a place where you know. That's a teeny amount of faith. A grain of mustard seed. And if I can just trust you with just that teeny amount, and it turned out that way, holy cow, what will happen if I mean it when I say I'm all in? What will happen when I say, here's everything I've got, do something? What will happen when I say, hey God, you ain't got to talk to me about mustard seeds, I'm good. The trees can do whatever they want to, the mountains can do whatever they want to, but what I'm here for is to say, you're awesome and you're able and I thank you.
Amen.
What happens when you move from the little bitty baby mustard seed to everything about you is faith in action? Every move you make. Now let me tell you, it ain't easy. I've been your pastor for how long? 2-3 years? Okay, I stand up here and I talk about how we're supposed to do certain things and behave in certain ways. And then what happens? I go out and something smacks me in the face and I forget. And I get upset. And so this past week I had a thing happen. I'm doing my walk. I walk 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. So I'm walking and I have this thought that I know I would never have on my own. Never. Trust me, I'll explain later. I wouldn't have this thought on my own. So it hits me and I'm like, you okay, Holy? I'm going to need a minute. And I left it. Well, a couple hours later, I'm texting with somebody. And they bust up and say in their text, hey, I'm going to need you to pray about something. And I'm thinking, oh, cool, they need me to pray for them. No big deal. And I'm like, okay. And then they hit me with, I need you to pray about. And then it was the exact same thought that I had a couple hours before when I was on my walk. So, what then happens is I go, whoa. It's like, so wait, you trying to teach me a faith lesson here? I'm supposed to do this no matter what? Because now you used another person that likes to tell me all the time that they right. And now you've told them what I'm supposed to do, and it's the same thing that I had thought earlier that I would not think on my own. Amen. God, I'm going to need a minute. I texted her back. I'll just tell y'all, it was Marcy. I texted her back. It's like, I'm going to need a minute. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Holy. I need a minute. That's cool. I understand. And what's not being texted is me saying, no, Marcy, the devil, that's what's going on. Ain't no way this is supposed to be. Ain't no way. And so I'm sitting in my office trying to think of all of the reasons why this can't be and why I'm doing the disciple thing. Yeah. Like instead of saying, if this is really supposed to happen, then God is able to guide me through it. Right. God is able to take me there. Right. God is able to protect me there. Yeah. God is able to give me the words I'm supposed to say if I have to do this thing. God will give me the grace to do it. God will give me the heart to do it. Yeah. God will give me the reconciliation, the spirit of reconciliation. God will be with me. That's right. I didn't go that way. Yeah. I didn't. I went the Marcy the devil. Tell me I got to do something. And then God's like, yeah, but I told you first. Remember in the bathroom when you walked into the bathroom after your walk? God, I ain't talking to you right now. So Marcy, I need a minute. So then I text Marcy, not that much longer. I text Marcy back and say, okay, I've handled it. Here's screenshots of what I've done to set things up, get things moving. And Marcy goes, what happened to waiting a minute? And I said, faith requires action. If I believe what I say to you, then should I not believe that it's true for me too? That's right. So I said to Marcy, faith requires action. I believe Holy spoke to me, because ain't no way I would have thought that thought on my own. And I believe Holy used you to slap me and go, I'm trying to get your attention. Yeah. Now do what I've said. Faith requires action. Faith requires a mustard seed. Mustard seed amount. When the conversation started with Marcy, I might have had a mustard seed. By the time it was over, I was like, See what you're doing, Holy. Thanks a lot. Love you a long time. But if I didn't take the steps after I had the thought, after Marcy confirmed the thought, if I didn't take the necessary steps, would my faith grow? Would I be like the 3 Hebrew children saying, no matter what comes, God's able? Maybe I might say it to you, but I can't say that I believe it because I didn't do it if I had not done it. We have to take the steps. And for some of you, the biggest step you have to take is stop second guessing. Like some of you, you would have had the thought go through your head in the bathroom, and you would have laughed and be like, yeah, no, I'm good. And you wouldn't have circled back to it. And even if God sent Marcy to you, you would have been like, no, you the devil for real. Christy's right. And you would have left it alone. And you would have come to church, and the first thing you would have done is try to come up to me and go, so this thing happened. Do you think this is really God, or do you think Marcy's crazy? We do it. We start questioning. Like instead of just going, that's holy and I'm going to move in that way, we want to call up everybody and have a conversation about it first. Hey, do you think this is the way God's leading me? Hey, do you think I'm supposed to be a preacher? Hey, do you think I'm supposed to be a singer? Hey, do you think this church is ever going to grow? Hey, do you think? That's what we do. And then after we've exhausted everybody, we've talked to everybody about it. And I talked to Sherry about it at least 10 times, I guarantee you. After we talked to everybody about it, maybe God, maybe. Is that true faith? Or is that fear? So Thrive is called to 3 things. We call them the Thrive basics. The first one is seeking God with all that we've got. The second one is loving everybody. And sometimes that's hard. It requires a whole lot more than mustard seed in my opinion, but me and God ain't done with that yet. And the third thing it requires is healthy relationships. Healthy relationships here, us, me and Travis, me and Victoria, me and Marcy, me and Kate, me and Lavette, me and Terry, all of us, healthy relationships. But it's also about having a healthy relationship with Holy. Well, what does healthy relationship with Holy look like? It looks like a mustard seed. It looks like believing Holy. When Holy says, you can do all things. Trust me. Lean on me, not on your own understanding. It looks like Holy showing up in odd places and speaking to your heart. And then you trying to figure out if you really have to do it. It looks like being here, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense to be here because we'd rather be home in bed. It looks like showing up because we're trying to do something. We're trying to build a community. We're trying to be family. Those things don't just happen. They require faith and action. And if we're not willing to offer up that little bit of faith, that little bit of trust, that little bit of hope, how will we grow as people and as a community? Both stories are right. In every situation, I hope that we have a little bit of both. I hope we face everything with, if that happens, it's okay because God is able. Amen. And, oh, Jesus, I'm going to need you. Amen. That's right. Balance. And all it takes is just a little bit of trust, a little bit of faith, a little bit of saying, yes, God, I'm going to do this, even though I don't know about it. God is able, and God will meet me. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to do my working. Because that's how my faith grows. I tend it. I work it. I don't know nothing about plants, but Terry does, and she could tell me if I'm anywhere close. We have to work the soil, right, Terry? See? I'm there. No matter what you face this week or any week, face it with that. God, I don't have a lot, but here it is. And I'm trusting. And I need you to build my faith. Increase it quick because I don't know about this stuff. It's okay to be bold. It's okay to say, God, I know you're able, but I'm still scared to death. It's okay to say, God, I know you're going to be with me when I have to do the thing me and Marcy know I got to do. But I could still use you hugging and loving on me because I'm scared of it. Offer your little bitty seed and watch what can be. And for us as a church, if every single person brought that amount of belief, that amount of trust to this community, I'm here to tell you, I don't think we'd have empty chairs. You know why? Because faith in action attracts people. They realize that you're people who live out exactly what you say, and it matters. They see it. They see the evidence of it. And then the more they hear you saying, check it out, God is able no matter what, because I've been through this and I know firsthand, the more they want to experience it. And the more they trust that they can offer up their little bitty seed, and God will meet them right where they are. See, I get in trouble every week because every week I say something that somebody will be mad at me. So here it comes. I'm just warning you now. This is the thing. Everybody comes here and they say things like, I ain't got nothing to give. I don't have anything to contribute. And we get hung up on thinking about just our wallets. Does a church need money? Yes, it does. But you know what a church really, really, really needs? People who are all in and lighting it up. Not being ashamed. Saying, hey, I don't believe exactly the way you believe, but I do believe that Holy moves and that Holy shows up. And that's enough. That's right. I don't have to understand every single step. I don't have to talk about how me and you might be different on how we see Holy. All I got to know is God shows up when I ask for God to show up. Mm-hmm. And sometimes even when I don't want God to show up, like in the bathroom, God will show up. What do I do that makes it so? Because people are going to ask. I don't do nothing except for recognize the situations and take advantage of them. Used to, I would run from them. I would refuse. Like this thing that we texted about. I'm like, oh, hell no. Ain't happening. Ain't doing it. Go talk to Sherry. It ain't happening with me. And now I see it, and I go, okay, God. I'm going to do this thing, and here's why I'm going to do it. Because I know that every time I've ever needed you, you've shown up. Amen. So I'm going to believe and trust that you're going to show up this time. I don't want you to give me all the money in your wallet. Well, I mean, I might want that, but I don't think it's realistic. I don't want you to come in here and know how to teach children's church, know how to play all the instruments, know how to sing all their... I don't care about that, unless your name is Kate Ella Lovette. What matters is that you bring your mustard seed or your whatever size faith, and you say, God, here it is, all of it, and I believe that you are able. I believe that you are able to take us where we're meant to go, and I believe that you will show us the steps. And I believe that even when I can't see, you are the way maker. That's right. And all I got to do is follow you. That's right. And believe and hope. Uh-huh. Mustard seeds. Should give my mustard seed back. Mustard seeds. Mm-hmm. Tea tiny. But prove all things are possible. And all the people said, Amen. Amen.